So it's a bit of a change from yesterday's weather. Bit of wind blown in, rain. It's not too cold, but there's not a lot we can do in the garden because of the rain. And I don't like to walk around gardens when there's rain around, because all you do is you end up compacting a lot the soil. So I tend to leave it alone, and I tend to do little greenhouse type jobs. And I've just come into the greenhouse to have a look at see what's going on at the minute in here. And I haven't been in here for some time because I've not really had a lot to do in here. But I've decided I'll come in for half an hour and have a bit of a tidy up, see what's going on, see if there's anything I can cut back. I don't mind actually potting things on at this time of year, although if it was really freezing cold, I wouldn't even do that. Now these are some of the grasses that I showed you how to split not so long back. And I'm just checking them out, making sure they don't need any water, which they probably do. So we'll deal with that in a minute. Now, I took these seedlings. When did I take them? I pulled them off the plant itself. It's Cortaderia, Patagonia. In August time. No, sorry, July time. 7th, July time. And we've got two little grasses there. Now, I've not touched this at all, as you can see from the green on top of the surface. We get the inevitable weeds, can you believe? And this is a prepared seedling compost that's done by the professionals. And that's how it ends up. It ends up with little seeds in there. This here, I've got some Caesareria nitida in there. And look, they're not Caesareria nitida. It's weeds. And that comes from a prepared one. We'll not name anyone on this one. Anyway, so what I'm saying is, there's not a lot I can do in the garden, but I can assess here, see what's going on. If there's anything needs sorting out in my nursery area, there's one or two pots blown over. I tend to leave them alone. That goes from my garden centre days when, annoyingly, customers thinking they're doing the right thing used to pick the pots up in the standout areas. And actually, it's better to leave them, because every time a pot blows over, it's got more of a chance of snapping. If it is going to blow over again, it's better to leave it on the floor and let it roll around. And I shall do the same here. I should just leave it alone, just leave alone what needs leaving alone. If anything can be stood up and protected, I'll do that. But look at the wind out there at the minute. It's ridiculous. Now, another thing I wanted to tell you. Well, I went away, didn't I, during the rime frosts. I went away, and it just started at the time, the frosts, the really heavy frost we had. And we went to Cambridge to see my son and his girlfriend. And I completely forgot about my succulents that I'd put into the greenhouse with, but only a week, maybe 2 weeks prior, maybe 3 weeks prior to that, I'd put them in here. And, I bet you're all having a moan at me about using Jack's Magic. Still one of the best. Anyway, apart from Plant Grow. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm getting carried away again. I do this all the time. So what I wanted to show you was a mistake I made, and I've made a bit of a rookie mistake. I'd completely forgot I'd put my succulents into the greenhouse. And I've got aeoniums here, mainly aeoniums in here. And that Kalanchoe, that one there, I was showing you earlier in the year, which is absolutely beautiful, was beautiful, is now what appears to be dead. So I'd completely forgotten, because even though we put things into greenhouse and in protection, during the worst of the times, glass is a very bad insulator, just doesn't do the trick. And what I should have done, and what I intended to do, was get hold of some, and I haven't got any yet, was get hold of some horticultural fleece and fleece them up. I didn't, and this is what I'm left with. I came back, realised what I'd done, came out here to see if they were okay, and this is what I found. Now, what should you do when this has happened to your plants? What should you do? All your succulents. I'm just having a look now, see if there's any that look like they might have survived. Now, one way of checking, simple, test it. Now that he's had it. That's gone to meet its maker. There's no way on this earth that that would come back. But is it worth chopping it back and waiting and seeing? Well, I believe it is. I believe always give it a second chance. Now, if you have got a problem like this, if this bit here was a bit harder, I'd leave it alone. Simply chop the top off. This is soft all the way down. But I speak with experience on these type of aeoniums that I've had this before, this problem, and I've cut them back only to realise that sometime later that regrows. So although it may not, I'm not saying it will, although it may not, give it a chance. Give it a chance. It could do. We've got more aeoniums here. Same position. They're all the same. They're not looking very likely to come back at all, especially this one. This is, I'm not even pointing the camera on it. This one here is not likely to come back. That is so squidgy. But is it worth checking? Is it worth leaving alone? Sometimes I think it is, even that. Well, what else are you going to do? So let's chop into it and see what's happened. Right, there you go. Now, there's the difference between the last one and this one. Can you see the difference? Knackered, not knackered. Very soft, likely to recover. Black, never going to recover in a million years. Let's go further down. Let's not doubt myself. I don't want to cut it away and it ends up being a good plant underneath, because plants are very resilient and they can come back from nothing often. Succulents are not so good at doing that. They come from hot countries. No, I don't think that's going to come back. Now, I will go through the other ones off camera and have a look at those, and we'll see what happens. This is a jade plant. I can't remember its technical name. I must have given you it, but I can't remember it. Now, there's a possibility here that some of these little ones will survive. And the only way we're going to check that, we're going to make sure of that, is by taking little cuttings off of them now. Get rid of them now. So we'll cut back into this one. This one has been worse than this in the past when I've left it outside. But we didn't have bad winters then. So what I should do is chop back, and I shall get all those off there and give them a chance. We'll take them into the house, we'll put them in there for a couple of days before we re-pot them on, see what happens, see if they'll dry out, see if they'll heat out, warm up, and let's see what goes on with them. Now, it is always the black aeoniums that tend to suffer more. This is a green aeonium, and as you can see, it looks like it may be okay. It may not, it may die still. Who knows? I don't know. So we'll give them a chance. So I'm going to cut them back. I'm going to go through each one individually. I'm going to take the cuttings I think will take, and we'll put them aside, and we'll show you that on another video, and we'll see what happens with them. This Kalanchoe, I bet Helen's so pleased that she came and picked that other one up off me, because there's the other one that I did have, and that has gone. So that's not likely to come back. This one, oh, may do. It may do. Although that looks terrible, the stem is rather still very good. It's still very good under there, so that one's probably going to come back. So we'll give that one a chance. We'll strip it back, we'll get it into the house with the other ones, and we'll try and rescue them and see what goes on. Okay, so while we're in the greenhouse, let's talk about other things. What should we do? Well, firstly, in greenhouses, keep them clean and tidy. Don't take a leaf out of my book. Mine's a right state. Look at it, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's not a very big greenhouse, and as I've said in the past, I simply have this for cuttings and growing on seedlings. I see people on Instagram often showing that it's time for seedlings. It's not. It's too early. It's way too early. We're at the end of December. People want to get excited and get them going, and before they know where they are, they've got a million seedlings that they don't know what to do with. Easy to get them going under heat, easy to get them going in polytunnels. If you've got a polytunnel, that's fine. You've got a big area. If you're just like me and you've got this kind of setup, then what's the point? What's the point? There's no point, because the seeds will catch up. However you plant them. So if you plant them early or late, they'll still catch up. Now, this one here, as I showed you with the one in June, this one was outside. Okay, so that was planted in June. And this one was planted September. Now, this is a Digitalis Stewartii, and I've got tons of these seeds. And I'm going to plant them in the next month, maybe 2 months. And that was planted last year, so they only got to that, and they were in the house. They were growing in the house just like that, so they've only got to that stage. So it just proves that planting seeds early doesn't always work. Depends on the type of plant, but it doesn't always work. So do yourself a favour and don't overplant, because you will end up with hundreds and hundreds of seedlings that you haven't got the time for, you haven't got the garden for. Give them away, by all means. A lot of people do, and some people don't. Some people just bin them because they've got overexcited. And if you're a new gardener, then you're more likely to plant loads of seedlings at this time of year when you shouldn't be doing. And on the back of your packet, it will tell you. I don't think I've got any seeds out here at the moment, but it will tell you when to plant them, the ideal time. Listen to them. They know what they're doing. I know we all get excited and we all want to get on with it when January comes, but, when we've got weather like this, what's the point? We're not going to plant them out anyway. We think we're giving them a head start, but we're not really, because they will catch up. It's a mistake I've made in the past, and I've learned by my mistakes. The only thing I do at this time of year is take little cuttings or splits of the right grasses and the right plants. Otherwise, I wouldn't do nothing. I don't even cut back at this time of year. As you can see in there, it pays you to cut some things back, and it pays you to leave other things. Obviously, with the grasses and the evergreens, different times of the year. So you've got evergreen grasses you wouldn't touch, you'd comb them out. You've got deciduous grasses you would chop back, but not yet. It's a bit early, especially in pots. Leave them a bit later, which would be fine. So I've got lots of cuttings out there going on. As you can see, there's loads. But I'm going to leave them alone. Not going to touch them yet. There will come a point when I'll come out one day and I'll say today's the day. But that won't be till the end of January, if not February. It's getting earlier and earlier. I could have nearly guaranteed 15 years ago I wouldn't even do any cutting before March. Now it's January. Anyway, we won't go into the climate argument. I've got my own opinions on it. Anyway, so don't plant your seedlings too early. No point. Yes, you can get them going and you can go posting on Instagram. You're doing this, that and the other, but you're wasting your time. Do it properly, people. Do it when it should be done. Not when your fans think they want to see it. Right, what am I going to do in here today? As I said, I'm going to sort them out. I'm going to sort out the mess. I'm going to clear away the rubbish that I should have cleared away some time back. Christmas has got in the way. Now's a good day to quickly go through what I've done, quickly assess what I'm doing. I'm using this seed cutting compost very soon. I have got myself a heated propagator with what these types of pots will fit in. I think there's 10 will fit into it. And I shall grow lots and lots of seedlings to give away, to plant in my own garden. I'd like some more of this Digitalis Stewartia. It's fantastic. It's a new plant to me last year, 2 years ago, but it flowered this year, produced me many seeds, and it's looking great. Is there anything else I can tell you while I'm waffling? Nope, not really. Nothing I want to do. I don't want to ruin stuff. I'll just have a quick tidy up in here, and then we'll probably call that a day. I've got other commitments later. So, yeah, don't plant your seeds too early. Go out, check your plants that you've stored away under cover. Check bulbs to make sure the mice haven't got into your pots and are eating away every night when you're not there, because they will. If there is mice getting in there, try and protect the top of the pot till the plant gets established later in the year. And you should be fine with that, because I know a lot of people lift the dahlias. Some people leave them in the gardens. Depends where you are in the country. Don't forget, I'm in the UK, sort of mid-UK, halfway up the country on the east. So that's the right-hand side as you look at the map. And I'm up near Lincoln, that way on, and Grimsby. Anyway, so, yeah. So I'll stop waffling now. Get on with what you need to do. Don't overdo it. Don't plant your seedlings. I've said it 3 times, maybe 4 times now. Do not start planting your seeds. Leave them. Leave them alone. It's too early. That excitement and that time will come, but not yet. Probably towards the end of the month, maybe February is probably February. The end of February really is the earliest I would do it. Probably into March. But who knows? The weather might allow us to get going a bit quicker this year. All right, any questions? Sorry for the waffle today. Not really got a lot to say on the matter, he says. But, it is what it is. The weather is what it is. No point going out and ruining the garden just because you're eager and you're keen and you've got the time. Sometimes when you do have the time and the enthusiasm, it is the wrong time. And that's gardening in general. We'd all like to get that out there when we shouldn't get out there. But while I'm on the subject, come on, let's bore you a bit more. I talked about my Euphorbia malachi. And I said it will produce a reddy purple tinge to the end, and I've shown you the bigger one, but I'll show you the bigger one again at some other point. But there you go, that's what I was talking about. It came through many euphorbias at the time. It is a Wolfenii type. At the time I had John Tomlinson, I had Umpty Dumpty, I had Black Pearl, I had lots and lots of different ones. I had Lambert Gold as well, and I also had one called Purple and Gold, and I suspect strongly that this one will have a parentage in there somewhere. Purple and Gold will be one of the parents. It does very well. I'll show you the other one in the garden at some point. These are cuttings I've taken. I have other little cuttings around somewhere if they've survived. Yeah, they are struggling. There you go. You can already see the little purple sections on there. Now, I will not pull them in. I will let them fend for themselves outside. It's the best thing to do. Don't go putting them under cover to protect them. Let's weed out the weak ones. That's what I do. Leave them out there, weed them out. Obviously, don't stand them in water. But weed out the weak ones and keep your eye on them. And if they are weak, throw them. Don't be tempted to keep them just because you got 50 of them. Get rid of 45 of them. Unless you're a nursery. So, everything's looking good out here. I'm not going to mess about with stuff at the moment. Leave it alone. Let it get on with it. But in another month and a half, I should say, I'll be starting on this section and clearing through. I'll have to clear through. This is the orchard area. And I had intended to do some work on these apple trees. Should I mess about with those? Would be a good time to get... That's an apple tree, that one there. No, sorry, Tim, that's a plum. That's a plum. And this is an apple tree. And I don't really want to do it. I should get on with these things, really. Plum, it's the wrong time, but I may do some rejuvenative plumbing, cutting back, because we can chop back and just get the shape back in. It's becoming a matted mess at the moment. I don't do fruit and veg very well. I don't grow it, he says, with 3 fruit trees. But I will do something about that, the matting of it. You know, look at it, it's congested up there. It really does need some help now. If I don't, it's going to get to a point where the 3 main stems at some point will split. And then we'll not get any plums at all because it'll rot away. So we'll try and do that. Okay. Right, any questions? Fire away at me. No complaints, please. I have been doing this a long time. I'm not looking for your information on some of the things I talk about. I'm just saying it for the video, really, to help the newcomers. Pretty experienced, been doing this long enough to know what I want. Okay, so the next design feature will be in production very soon. We've finished the wildlife pond, as I've shown you, and we shall move on to the next one, whatever that may be. Okay, thanks for listening to me waffle, and I'll talk to you later. Ta-da!